In today's video, we are going to be building my championship team of the season so far, but the stipulation is I'm only allowed to use one player per club, or else, let's face it, it'll probably just be a Leicester starting 11. I want to hear your guys' suggestions in the comments down below, who from your club should make it into this 11. 300 likes will be massively appreciated, but without any further ado, let's jump in. Starting out in goal, I'm going to go for Rotherham's Victor Johansson. I go as far to say that Johansson is one of the most important, if not the most important players in the championship to his selected club. I think if you were to take one player out of any championship club and they'd have the biggest overall negative impact, I think that would be absolutely huge on Rotherham. If you were to take Johansson out of that side, I think they wouldn't be a championship club right now had it not been for his heroics last season, and he's faced a bunch of shots this season, and I think deservedly so makes it into my team of the season so far. Yes, Rotherham do currently sit in the relegation zone, but it's often on Johansson to keep the Millers competitive and in matches, and I think he's actually won them quite a few points already this season. He was absolutely brilliant when Preston went to Rotherham earlier on in the season. Preston created a bunch of opportunities in that game, but Johansson was level to pretty much all of them. He is often left exposed. Rotherham have conceded the highest XG in the championship so far this season, but when you have a goalkeeper that good, you're always in with a chance of nicking a point or two. Right back, I'm going for Southampton's Kyle Walker-Peters. I accept the Saints have been pretty lacklustre defensively up until this point, but Kyle Walker-Peters' overall impact on this Russell Martin side has been absolutely huge, and to be honest, I'm completely astonished that Southampton have even managed to keep hold of him. Whenever I've caught a glimpse of Southampton so far this season, whether that's on Sky or watching the highlights, Walker-Peters has often looked like their most influential player. I think he's absolutely brilliant at playing that role of stepping into the midfield from that right back position. He's got 2 assists so far this season. I'm sure that'll be in double figures come the end of the campaign. That assist against Hull was absolutely gorgeous. The successful dribbles in the championship this season, he currently ranks 2nd. And just his overall game intelligence, you can tell, is a step above a lot of the players that he's coming up against. So influential for that Southampton side, and I just had to throw him into this team. First centre half, I'm going to go for Cardiff's Dimitrios Goutas. Now I have to admit, I knew absolutely nothing about the Greek centre half coming into this season, but his overall impact on that Cardiff back line I think has been really positive so far this season, and weighing up the other options I had in this position, I thought I'd throw him into the 11. Aerially, he's been absolutely superb for Cardiff so far this season, winning an average of 3.1 aerial battles per 90. He was on the score sheet in Cardiff's dramatic 3-2 triumph over Coventry back in September, and so I thought I'd show a bit of love to him. Cardiff have been fairly stable at the back so far this season, and he's impressed me on the whole. Next centre half, I'm going to throw in Preston North End's Liam Lindsay, probably one of our more consistent performers so far this season. Certainly think he's been our best defender up until this point. Andy Hughes has missed portions of the season. I think there's been quite a few occasions where he's had to cover for a few slip-ups on that left-hand side. Aerially, absolute monster, wins 4.8 aerial duels per 90. He's also scored a couple of goals so far this season. Real threat from us attacking set pieces and things like that. And generally speaking, apart from those successive 3 defeats we had where I don't think anyone particularly covered themselves in glory, Lindsay has been a really consistent performer throughout this season for Preston. At left back, I think there's a pretty obvious candidate. I'm going to go for Ipswich's Leif Davis, who was an absolute creative monster in League One last season, scoring 3 goals and picking up 14 assists, and he's easily transitioned that form into Championship football this time around, already with 5 assists in his first 10 matches. He creates an average of 3.5 chances every game, which is absolutely off the charts for a fullback. Obviously bombs forward. There were a lot of Ipswich players that I wanted to include in this 11, but as we're only picking one player per club, I think he was probably the most deserving to get into this side. Speaking of creative monsters, my first holding midfielder, I've got to throw in Norwich's Gabriel Sara. Now we saw it in moments from Sara last season just how effective he can be, and I think what we're seeing this season is that just on a regular, consistent basis. I know that Norwich have very much had their up and downs throughout this season so far, but generally speaking, Sara week in, week out, you know what you're going to get from him. He creates a bucket load of chances for his teammates and also can be a real threat himself. Already 8 goal contributions this season, lovely touch, weight of pass, and also gets stuck in the defensive side as well, winning an average of 2.4 tackles per per game. I really wanted to throw Johnny Rowe into this 11 as well because he deserves to make the 11, but as we're only doing one player per club, I was between both of them and I thought Sarah just gets the nod for me for those unbelievable underlying numbers. Next to him in midfield, it's got to be Leicester City's Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. He's been absolutely brilliant in going about this season so far for the Foxes, and the dynamic between him and Harry Winks in midfield has been absolutely brilliant. Not many championship sides have been able to get near them, and Harry Winks probably the more underrated player between the two because he's not been getting those goal involvements, but arguably just as important. But the amount of big moments that Dewsbury-Hall's delivered for this Leicester side so far this season, you absolutely have to include him. I think we all knew from the off how influential he was going to be in this Leicester side when he scored that brace on the opening day to turn around that game against Coventry. 9 goal contributions in his first 12 matches this season. Fans of the Championship would have already known what he was all about from that loan spell he had a couple of years ago with Luton, where he was really good. He looks like a much more mature player from that stage, a real leader it now looks in that side. And like we were discussing with Kyle Walker-Peters before, he is a Premier League level player playing in the Championship. In almost all aspects of the game so far this season, he's been absolutely brilliant, and I mean, he walks into this 11, doesn't he? On the right hand side of midfield, I'm going to go for Hull City's Jayden Philogene. Without a doubt, one of the most fun and enjoyable players to watch in the Championship, and whenever I've caught a glimpse of him so far this season, he's been absolutely electric. Can play on either flank for Hull, is always looking to get on the ball and he's always looking to make things happen. He's been by far and away Hull's most creative player so far this season, is always looking to get them up the pitch and can go past a man or two in one drop of the shoulder. He's averaging 2.7 successful dribbles per game, which is the 3rd most in the Championship right now. He's got 5 goal contributions in his first 7 matches, and I still think there's more to come from him as well. But even up until this point, I enjoy watching him. He gets it on the right hand side. In as my number 10, I'm going to go for Blackburn Rovers' Sammy Szmodics. I think a really underrated player in the Championship actually, and do you know what, I'm willing to hold up my hands here and say that I was wrong about this signing at the time, because when Blackburn originally picked up Szmodics a couple of summers ago from Peterborough, I have to admit I wasn't totally convinced about this signing. Blackburn put down quite a bit of money for him. He had an up and down season with Peterborough in the Championship, but fair play, I think it's turned out to be a cracking signing since. He's had his most prolific season in the Championship to date up until this point, with 7 goals and 2 assists in his first 12 matches. The role he plays in that Blackburn side now is absolutely instrumental, whereby I think if you were to take him out of the starting 11, you would notice quite a dramatic drop off. The work he does off the ball is absolutely huge. The positions he picks up, the space he creates for others, and also now the amount of chances that he actually gets on the end of. And when you combine all those factors into one, I think a deserving player to get into this team of the season so far. On the left hand side, of course, we're going to go for Sunderland's Jack Clarke, arguably one of, if not the most informed players in the Championship right now. He's been absolutely electric. 8 goals in his first 12 matches, can run defences ragged, a fullback's worst nightmare. He can take you on the outside, he can come on the inside. And I'm so pleased that Jack Clarke has been a hit at Sunderland, because he obviously came through at Leeds with massive hype, got that big move to Tottenham, which probably just came too soon in his career, didn't get much of a look in North London, and we've seen, you know, occasions where other youngsters have rapidly risen up the ranks. They've got that big move too soon, and ultimately their career sort of just faded away after that. That's not been the case for Jack Clarke. I think he looks more motivated than ever to sort of really be the main man in this Sunderland side this season. You know, no Amad Diallo, who was maybe their more established star last season. Clarke now a regular match winner. I think Mowbray's played an absolute blinder and getting the best out of him and working this system around him. And whenever I catch him, he is an absolute joy to watch as well. The goals back up so far. He's a shoo-in into this side. Finishing it off at the top of the tree, I'm going to go for Leeds United's Joel Perreault. Of course, I had to throw a Leeds player in there. Now, to be honest, I wouldn't say that Perreault's been Leeds' best player so far this season. I think you can make arguments that Somerville and Ampadu have both been more influential than Perreault has been so far this season, but because of how I configured the rest of the team and I could only use one player per club, it sort of made the most sense to throw Perreault in as the striker, as I already had those midfield and winger spots filled up. And that's not to say that Perreault's not been excellent himself. He's got 5 goals in his first 9 matches for Leeds. Of course, for a lot of this season so far, has played a more withdrawn role where a lot of the times it'll be Rutter as the number 9, Perrault dropping a little bit beneath that. But listen, we all know from his time at Swansea what Perrault's about, and to instantly transition into this Leeds squad under Daniel Farke, I think he's really impressive. He's their top scorer in the Championship right now for a reason, and come the end of the season, I would be expecting him to be touching in and around 20 goals. With Perrault as well, you get a lot more than just goals. The link-up play is really nice, and a lot of the opportunities that he gets for himself, he's capable of creating by himself as well, which is a real asset. But all in all, I have to say, I'm pretty happy with that 11. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Any obvious players that I have missed out, do let me know. But apart from that, guys, that will now wrap it up for today's video. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like, and do stick around and subscribe for some regular Championship content. Apart from that though, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.